Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolfe Pit with another episode of What Are We Eating? Breakfast. It's our morning take of gas that gets us going for the day and should hold us over until lunch. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't have the time to make breakfast in the morning, so they simply grab toast, a Danish, or donut with their coffee as they're running out the door late for work. Or even worse, they stop for greasy, questionable fast food, which ends up leading them sprinting for an emergency bathroom break as soon as they walk into the office. Well, a couple months ago, I tried 2 of the Jimmy Dean breakfast bowls, which were really good. And at the time, I think they were the 2 highest rated foods I had done, one scoring a 9 out of 10 and the other scoring an 8 out of 10. Well, now Walmart's Great Value brand has their own breakfast bowls. I got a sausage breakfast bowl and a steak and egg breakfast bowl. Both are 7 ounces, the same size as the Jimmy Dean's. $1.84 for the Great Value breakfast bowls and $2 for the Jimmy Dean breakfast bowls. I've been fairly impressed with most of the Great Value brand foods I've tried so far. So let's see how these compare to the Jimmy Dean bowls. So let's start with the sausage breakfast bowl first, which contains potatoes, eggs, cheese, and sausage. And they're ready in only 4 minutes. There's a whole lot of ingredients. Obviously, there's a whole lot more ingredients than there would be if you made it at home. But one thing I see makes me very happy. The sausage is sausage, with no TVP, other proteins, or extenders added. The serving size is the whole bowl. For the whole bowl, there's 370 calories, 26 grams of total fat, 9 grams of saturated fat, no trans fat, 5 grams of polyunsaturated fat, and 4 grams of monounsaturated fat, both of which are good fats. Then there's 255 milligrams of cholesterol, 990 milligrams of sodium, 260 milligrams of potassium, 18 carbohydrates, 3 grams of fiber, 2 grams of sugars, and 16 grams of protein. And the best buy date is pretty short, so you better eat them fast. Let's get the bowl out of the box and see how they compare to the Jimmy Dean breakfast bowls. Well, it certainly looks good. And if it weren't for the chunks of cheese versus the shredded cheese in the Jimmy Dean's, I'd say they were the same bowl. The heating instructions don't say anything about poking holes or venting the bowl. So it goes into the nuker for 3 minutes and then let it rest for 30 to 60 seconds. And there's the normal, very obvious disclaimer, but I'm sure they have to put this on there because there's people out there that don't realize that it's going to be hot after microwaving. After microwaving on high for 3 minutes and resting for 30 seconds, our Great Value breakfast bowl is ready. And I've got to say, it looks really good for a frozen meal. And I actually think it looks better, definitely cheesier, than the Jimmy Dean breakfast bowl. Nice natural looking sized sausage pieces. They definitely don't look preformed or like they were shot out of an extruder like most of the meat and processed foods. I tried a potato first and it had slight browning, which makes me think either they were fried or roasted, which is definitely better than the pale bullet looking potatoes. The potatoes had a good texture. Obviously it would have been nicer if they were crispier, but that's not possible in the microwave. Then I tried a little bit of scrambled egg, which was nice and fluffy and creamy. Next was the sausage, and it looked like sausage we cook at home. And the sausage was surprisingly good. It had a nice sage flavor, which is mandatory in sausage in my opinion, and it had a really nice spice to it without being too spicy. Finally, I tried a bite with everything. And doesn't that look good? And it tasted as good as it looked. Definitely good enough to have another big bite. And then another big bite off camera. But I couldn't keep eating it because I had to save room for the steak and egg bowl. The steak and egg breakfast bowl consists of potatoes, eggs, cheese, and steak. And again, it's ready in 4 minutes. The ingredients for the potatoes, eggs, and cheese are the same. But when I got to the steak, it's not really steak. It's highly processed beef, which is ground, filled with binders, water, and just about everything else you can think of, including potato powder, cornstarch, tapioca, and whey protein concentrate, along with many other ingredients. Why can't they just put real meat in all of these? Even if it's the toughest steak ever. Tenderize it in bromelain, I don't care. Just let it be a piece of meat. Per bowl, there's 320 calories, 19 grams of total fat, 6 grams of saturated fat, no trans fat, 6 grams of polyunsaturated fat, 4 grams of monounsaturated fat, 245 milligrams of cholesterol, 910 milligrams of sodium, 270 milligrams of potassium, 20 carbohydrates, 3 grams of fiber, 2 grams of sugars, and 16 grams of protein. Again, the steak and egg bowl also has a very short sell-by date. So let's get it out of the box and see what it looks like and give it a try. And again, straight from the box, it looks really good. The directions are the same as they were for the sausage bowl. So into the microwave it goes. After heating it on high for 3 minutes and resting for 30 seconds, it's ready. I gave it a good mix to get the cheese sauce spread around. And then I tried a potato again first. And just like before, it's very good. I really like the potatoes in both of them. So I went ahead and took another bite before moving on to the eggs. And just like before, the eggs are really good, fluffy and creamy. Next up, the steak. Which, as you can see, it's not really a piece of steak. It's exactly like what I described before, an emulsified meat smoothie formed into a piece of meat. That sounds delicious. Even though I don't really like how the steak was made, the flavor was okay, even considering it has the artificial grilled flavor added, which I'm not really fond of. Finally, I went in for a bite of everything. And it was pretty good. Both of the Great Value breakfast bowls were definitely edible. The eggs, cheese, and potatoes in both were very good for a frozen meal. However, the sausage bowl was by far my favorite flavor-wise, and the sausage was sausage. And it was really delicious sausage. The steak and egg bowl was good, and the flavor and texture of the steak wasn't too bad. But whatever meat isn't meat, my opinion goes down. I'm not even sure how they're allowed to call it steak. So with all of this said, I'm giving the Great Value Sausage Bowl a 9 out of 10, which is the same score I gave one of the Jimmy Dean breakfast bowls. The Great Value Steak and Egg Bowl could have also received a 9, but with the steak not being steak, it's going to bring the score down to a 7 out of 10. If you'd like to help support the Wolfe Pit, consider being a patron. You can pledge as little as $1 a month, that's only $12 for the whole year. Or you can pledge more, that's up to you. Either way, every little bit's appreciated and helps me produce more high-quality videos more often for you, the people. Thank you all very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.